Welcome to a delayed, belated, not quite immediate version of Salty Takeaways. Oh my goodness. John here, Jarrett there. And I think I fell asleep about 2 a.m. I don't know about you.
I went to sleep pretty quick afterward. I had to get up and take my daughter to swim this morning, and I have been mainlining Coca-Cola until I don't drink coffee,
Yeah.
so I got a Starlight Coke right now, which actually aren't that bad. They're kind of weird, but uh, hey Coke, give us money. Um, yeah, I'm just like dripping off of Coke products right now, just trying to caffeinate myself until about 5 o'clock. Then I'll wind down, do bedtime, go to sleep.
There you
Actually, I won't go to sleep. I'll go lay down and turn on MLS After Dark tonight because it's not over.
No, no, it is not. 2 hour and 54 minute weather delay. Thank you, Mother Nature. And after 18 or 19 minutes, Atlanta United and Nashville SC, they were banished to their locker rooms. The fans were told to go inside. The seating section at Geodis and the videos were out for both sides. And full credit to the 17s who stayed and were completely and totally loud. In the concourse as they were doing it looked like almost something around an imaginary maypole at one point. And then, they come back and you have absolute MLS After Dark, the Central Time Zone version. It was if I was to ask you how you would describe the remaining 72 minutes, how would you describe the 72 minutes in the After Dark phase of Atlanta and Nashville?
Have you ever seen a child on too much caffeine and sugar?
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like that. Like they came out of the gates just absolutely hair on fire, insane. What 3 goals in 10 minutes? It seemed like the whole thing was going to collapse. It was just defensive lapses as much as anything on both sides. You get Atlanta making mistakes. Then you get Joe Willis, who just and Joe Willis is going to want to burn that tape when it comes to distribution, not just for the pass that leads to the goal, but he had a couple last night where they played back to him, and he's playing it out to his back line, and it's too wide. He played a couple out of bounds. It's pulling his guys out of shape, and where guys having to chase it down and not able to turn and actually play forward or that sort of thing. Like not a great night for him distribution wise, and you get free crosses in and taking unmarked headers. Is just a mess, and then it settles down. You get a 10-minute halftime, so really just enough time to catch your breath and go do it again. And it felt like, to me, it felt like it settled for a bit, and then it hit another sugar high before it crashed with Dom Dwyer scoring and shushing the crowd and people getting mad. And then the game stops because weather was rolling in. So I want to make that clear. Like there was another band of weather that was going to be coming and absolutely wrecking the house because they ordered an evacuation of the seating bowl after the game because of the lightning that was coming in for safety concerns. So fans could just linger at the seating bowl. So it's not like you just called it in the moment. I wonder if somebody got Uncle's ear. I know we're going to talk a lot about Ted Uncle, but I wonder if someone got in his ear and told him hey man, this thing is about to this thing's about to open up again. So you gave him 3 minutes. At 3 minutes, you need to kill it because we don't need a situation where you dragged this on and a storm shows up and then we're out here till 2:30.
Yeah. By the way, Joe Willis.
Yeah, it was like a child on caffeine.
Yeah, if you take the Macaulay Culkin Home Alone gif running up and up and down the stair the hallway, I think that's accurate. By the way, Joe Willis punched a 5.8 last night, courtesy of our friends at SofaScore. And
a bunch of that probably came from the damn save he made off of Alan Franco's header, which I'm not convinced wasn't an issue where I wonder if Willis just didn't see it at first because he made a really good reaction save, but he didn't read it from damn.
2 saves, 1 save obviously inside the box, 1 error that led to the goal that you talked about with the pass that ended up with Marcelino Moreno. 56% on his passing on 32 touches, 14 of 25, 9 of 19 on long balls, and a bunch of zeros all the way up and down the line. Looking at the Atlanta United numbers, let's go to the flip side. Bobby Shuttleworth punched a 6.6 last night, and he had 3 saves, 2 hit inside the box, a high claim, 77% on his passes, only 17 of 22 on 30 touches, 6 of 11 on his long balls, 1 clearance, 1 aerial duel that was won. And I know that a lot of folks early on were looking at Bobby Shuttleworth, but Shuttleworth came up big in the match last night.
He did. He came up big as the match went on. The goals are weird. It's his defense as much as anything. The first one, Alan Franco's caught in between steps, or hitting the trailing defender in the middle, and he just kind of steps forward like he's trying to create an offside, but it's a step late, and it doesn't do anything good in that moment. It's such a tough situation to be in, but nothing really great comes out of it in that moment. Bobby's in that situation though where it's when Franco does that, he's out of position. It becomes a 2-on-1. And then the other goal is you gotta try and win those headers. You gotta, at least, if you can't win them, do what Alex DeJohn has done before. And I thought he could have done better a couple times. Even if you can't outright win the header, contest it enough to where the attacking player can't get his head on it and redirect it exactly the way he wants to, because you're not putting pressure on the guy crossing the ball in. Then it's a header on the back post. He heads it across. Hani Mukhtar is there, and don't know if it was Franco or Gutman or DeJohn was on Hani Mukhtar, but just they drifted off of him and left him wide open. And he sees the cross coming into. He's getting to hit that post, and then it's cut back the other way, so he has to scramble back across the mouth of goal. Both of them are tough for Bobby to deal with. It's not like they were just there have been easier goals given up that you can complain about than those two, and then he made some good saves late, man.
Going through the numbers on the night, Ronaldo Cisneros up top had a 6.6. A couple of other players, you had Thiago Almada, who had a 7.8 with the goal on the board. Araujo a 7.2. Marcelino a 7.6. Other sevens, Brooks Lennon with a 7.4. Alan Franco had a 7.1 last night. Mateus Usechu, before he was removed late, had a 6.6. Franco Ibarra a 6.3. Andrew Gutman a 6.4. Alex DeJohn again a 6.8. And Bobby Shuttleworth had that 6.6. Ronald Hernandez came in at the half, replacing Andrew Gutman, who had been motioning about an injury. I guess it was to his quad, and he was out.
I'm wondering if he pulled something. Because at first I thought it was Anunga tackled him from behind at one point, and I wondered if that bothered him. But the way he was motioning to it, I wonder if he just pulled something.
Yeah. And I think it was just get to the half and then come in with your substitution there. And then you did with Ronald Hernandez. George Campbell came in, gave you 15 minutes. Emerson Hyndman came in and gave you 5. Dom Dwyer comes in and he replaces Franco Ibarra, who was really on that tightrope after getting the yellow. And, I think a lot of people were sitting there saying, okay, Franco Ibarra needs to be replaced. Hey, he needs to be replaced. Oh, by the way, Franco Ibarra needs to be replaced because he was right on that second yellow tightrope. And Dom Dwyer came in, gave you 15 minutes, and he ended up giving you the equalizer and the shush. And so that was how you end up with a 2.2. What else with this group? Once again, Araujo, Almada, Moreno with Cisneros up top. You get to see what you're seeing, why they have this AMA together as we all wait for Joseph's return as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just creating a ton there. And now you're getting things where even let's take it back further. Let's take it back to Mateus Aceto's ability to, now that you're kind of brought him out of his shell, I don't know, man, if maybe it's the armband that kind of helped do it, but his ability and Ibarra too. Ibarra is more than just the destroyer these days. Their ability to advance the ball through the midfield to hit that 20-yard, gopher hunting pass that gets it into a guy like Amada's feet, it puts pressure on the defense, and it puts not just pressure, like, because there's pressure, like you can put a gradual pressure on somebody, and then there's sudden pressure. There's, hey, that's a 15, 20-yard one burner that all of a sudden Atlanta's number 10, who has absolutely ripped the league to shreds. Not just, I mean, man, look, Almada's not going to not setting records in goals and assists. I get that. For one thing, he should get a hockey assist for the second goal last night.
Yes.
Because it's a filthy ball to Brooks Leonard and such a smooth and really aware play to not try and one time it past Willis, but just dink it across the face of goal and let Dom finish it off. But Amada's ability to get it and turn on it's that sudden pressure where Atlanta's building, but boom, there's that 8 playing a ball into a 10, and guys are getting forward, and all of a sudden you go from, okay, they're building, ah, shit, they're here.
Looking at the numbers with Almada, 33 of 42 passing at 79% with the goal. 3 of 5 on his duels, by the way. And let me run through some of the passing numbers. Once again, not necessarily a surprise, but it reinforces the productivity that we've seen. Moreno at 79% on 39 passes. Brooks Lennon, 26 of 29 on the day at 90%. Alan Franco, 71 passes. He had 82% completion rate. Alex DeJohn, 43 of 46 as a center back at 93%. 2 of 5 on his duels that he won as well. Ronald Hernandez in 45 minutes was 19 of 20. And Mateus Osechu, once again, not a surprise, 56 of 61, 92%, 2 of 6 on his duels on the day. Andrew Gutman in his 45 minutes was 12 of 14. Franco Ibarra, you mentioned him, 5 of 13 on duels, 31 of 37 on the day, 84% on his passing to add to the couple of tackles that he had as well. You want to go ahead and you want to hit the Twitters? You want to get through the Ted Uncle?
Do that. The Ted Uncle tweets.
Oh, brother.
I'm sure there are many.
Yes. So let me go back to the top of the order here, and thanks to everybody who survived late last night and then this morning. And we know that you were probably watching the end of the Premier League as things were going. But yeah, let's see. All right, let's go with ropes to start. More pro referees nonsense that really needs some consistency. The attack still looks good, and now that Campbell's getting time, hopefully there can be some defensive consistency. I think DeJohn and Franco did a fine job, though I know there are still Franco haters. So I guess that was more backline than it was pro at the moment. But yeah, Ropes talked about both.
Yeah, Franco's numbers are good generally, and it makes me wonder what they would look like if he didn't have that one lapse a game where it seems like, he just kind of switches off for a minute in a game, and unfortunately, it often leads to him getting punished, which sucks. But yeah, I'm very curious, I'm curious, how those numbers would look, because you're trying to get that cleaned up. You're finally getting some consistency in the back line. I don't know how long that's going to hold because George Campbell is coming back into the fray, getting healthier, and how does he push into that? How do you deal with that? Do you go to 3 at the back down the road here and ask Gutman and Lennon to play more as wing backs? Do you stick with 4 at the back? What do you do? How do you manage this? Because yeah, you want to develop that consistency and that communication, because it seems like every now and then it just switches off. And this was a really shitty situation for Atlanta because what you have struggled with in that communication, especially with aerial balls, is something that Nashville is going to thrive at.
Danielle, Femme Football ATL, and I don't think she's alone in this, but she was the first one in the timeline to say this. Ted Uncle sucks ass. Nashville's performative nonsense was shameful. They are the new Toronto.
I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, look, Nashville was trying to get Ibarra sent off because they want to play against 10. And yeah, I mean, Ted Uncle annoyed me, not because of the calls overall. It's because I felt like he changed the way he called the game from pre Thunder delay to post Thunder and Lightning delay.
Yeah.
Like before the lightning delay, I felt like he's calling it pretty tight, which benefited Atlanta because it took away Nashville's ability to wreck you physically in the midfield and force that turnover. Granted, Atlanta did a lot of unforced errors in the second half when they were trying to build up play and gave the ball away a lot. But in the first half, before the rain, when you're able to get the ball and turn in the midfield and advance, and Nashville can't just crash into you because it's getting called,
Yeah.
it breaks up play. It makes it a little choppy, but it keeps them from being able to create those physical turnovers that they can pounce on. But then you just felt like it called the game differently as the game went on, man. It was really there. Call it loose, call it tight, but call it the same damn way, man.
Yes. So let me run through the gamut of Ted Uncleness that we have here in the timeline, and we'll just address it all at the end if there's anyone that stands out. Daniel Price wasn't ideal conditions. We got the point. Can't say much else except Ted Uncle. Michael Head, Ted Uncle. That was the only part of the tweet. Abby, inconsistency in ref calling equally on fouls and whether a card is warranted or not, and how many warnings to the same player without a card, yet one foul on our player, a card issued. I think she's probably talking about Todd Bryan and Nunga. 2, lack of actually replacing, time lost for stoppage time, and will pro fine any players for a dive. Megan Garrison. That whistle, I imagine at the end. Ted Uncle in general as a ref is so inconsistent. Nashville players are starting to be the floppiest in the league. We really need Gutman every minute of every game. So many Atlanta fans stayed after the 3 hours. We were easily equal to the Nashville players. And let's see, Bob. Ted Uncle thought he was so-so overall until the final whistle. Didn't he give a yellow to Nashville for time wasting and then denies our 2v1 at the end? Still, it was a lot of fun being at the game. And so that's all of the Ted Uncleness that we have on the timeline. But yeah, a lot of folks were looking at Ted Uncle after the 72 minutes and not necessarily the 18.
Maybe I'm wrong for giving him the benefit of the doubt, but screw it. Here we go. The only way I can think that played out is Uncle looks at the time. He knows the weather situation at hand. The ball's played back to Nashville, and he's going to blow his whistle before another attacking sequence can begin.
Yeah.
Usually you would be fine with this if you're Atlanta because you've cleared the ball. You're riding this out to the draw. And Uncle blows it before allowing one more attacking sequence, which the way Nashville can hit those long balls would make you nervous. Planning to blow it there, but he was so slow in doing so. You get the bad touch and you get the 2-on-1, but he's in the action of blowing the whistle, and that just, man, I mean, maybe he was slow to it, but that's the only thing I can think is that he decided weather's going to roll in here. We've got to end this. It's been 3 minutes. And an attacking sequence just ended. This is my chance to blow it. Oh, God, something's happening. Tweet.
Yeah.
Whoops. Get off the field.
Yeah, oops, we're out the door. Let's see. Megan also points out that Giotis was very unprepared, apparently, because they ran out of food an hour into the delay, and she was starving. She missed Mercedes-Benz.
I heard people miss Mercedes-Benz for no other reason because of the damn prices. Like, apparently Giotis is expensive.
Yes, it is.
Hey, you know what? I know Mercedes-Benz has air conditioning and a roof, and people think that makes you soft. They also have cheap food and a Carvel machine upstairs.
Yes, exactly. John Nason. If the guys could just figure out how to cut out at least 50% of the brain farts on defense, even with the players currently available, this team could be scary good.
Yes. Clean up your defensive errors, and as guys get more chemistry, you want to see that. But, as people talked about, like, the defense has been playing well. No shit. You're missing your starting goalkeeper. You're missing one of the best center backs in the hemisphere. You're missing your edge-setting leader 6 who had been playing a lot in Aussie. Like, you're missing guys who help that chemistry along, and it always helped to have a guy like Vincent, or in 2017 and 18 like a Leandro Gonzalez Perez, who can be that last line, who was so good at emergency defending and defending one-on-one that when you don't have it and you're playing this way, yeah, you're going to give up chances. By the way, this is what it looks like when you're going to try and win every game 4-3. You're going to have some 2-2 draws. By the way, Nashville is basically like I think their fans were like, "Oh yeah, we're 2-2 City. That's just what we do," because they've got their own defensive issues to clean up. But I mean, this is what happens when you're going to play that way, man. I mean, you get on an edge like that, you're going to give up opportunities, and when your defense isn't up to it, and you're getting individual mistakes, and people aren't executing, yeah, you can give up shots like that. But then on the other side of things, you're going to get guys forward, you're going to create chances, and you're going to generate over 2 XG a game. It's a trade-off, man, and it's scary. It does take bravery for sure.
And it will, I'm sure it traditionally, as we have seen when we've been talking about it this year on the show, and even last year, that it will drive folks crazy. But, once again, we've always discussed the notion of making sure that everyone understands, and that's why we take the time to break this down and explain it and let the comments breathe, is that there needs to be context added to everything that you see. It's not just one way or the other. It has to be evidence building toward a conclusion more than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be. I jumped in to listen to the DSS feed last night. During the delay, they did a Twitter Spaces, and I forget who it was. I apologize to the DSS crew. I forget who it was who mentioned it. That it's a situation right now, where Atlanta's gotten lucky in a good way. I mean, you're unlucky with all the injuries, but you have kind of had to tread water through all this while you're trying to figure your shit out and get guys healthy. But at the same time, the East is still congested enough that you're not in like 9th place with a ton of bodies between you and a good spot to be in. You have some home games coming up that you absolutely need to get 3 points from.
Mm-hmm.
You need to get 3 points from Columbus.
Mm-hmm.
You need to get 3 points from Miami.
Mm-hmm.
You absolutely have to do that.
Then the last point on the board from our Twitters, and once again, thanks to everybody who contributed and had conversations with each other, which is what we like as well. John Nason is also proposing a different way for the sport to be actually performed. He's saying, how about an official 30-minute game clock each half? Stopping when the ball's out of play for discipline and subs. He wants to know if anybody would be interested in something like that.
I mean, I'm fine with how it is, because I think it's fine if you have people executing it. And like I said, the end of the game, I'm very curious if the weather played a part in it or if he was just slow on stuff, that sort of thing.
Right.
There's a lot that could have gone into it. That doesn't excuse Ted Uncle from not officiating the game consistently, which was my biggest problem.
Yes, and so, and the biggest thing for me when you're looking at Ted Uncle in the first 18, you're looking at, okay, he's going to call it this way. Then in the last 72, he calls it completely different, like he's trying to catch a flight out of Nashville, Nashville International Airport and get out of Dodge. And for me, where Nashville is concerned, I think that something that you can look at for the remainder of the season is they want to be physical. They want to be overly physical. They will go physically as far as the referee will take it. They will take what the referee gives them. But at the same time, they are more than happy to, how do we phrase this? Try to encourage decisions from referees about fouls when they are called in an overly dramatic fashion at times. How about that? How about that for being somewhat diplomatic where Nashville is concerned?
You're trying to force the referee payment is what you're trying to do. Atlanta used to do it in the box in 2018 when they were getting tons of penalties. The way they played, they created these opportunities. You're forcing the ref's hand to make a decision.
What you said.
And like I said, Nashville's trying to get about a 10 off in the second half because they're trying to play against 10.
Yes.
And he is a guy who plays on that knife's edge anyway. So they saw a perfect opportunity to try and get him sent off. But that means somebody flops, and then somebody flops.
Mm-hmm. Final numbers for the teams: possession 56-44 for Atlanta United, 14 to 13 on shots. Nashville had all of the offensive advantages, corners, offsides, fouls, yellows, four yellows actually for Nashville compared to the one yellow for Atlanta United. Counterattacks and shots went to Atlanta United. Shots outside the box went to Atlanta United. Passing at 83% consistency to 77 for Atlanta United. 35-35 on long balls, which is interesting. Crosses 8-4 for Nashville. And duels were about 50-50. Atlanta had more tackles at 14-12, but Nashville had more picks. Atlanta United had more clearances. 19 clearances on the day, 19-6 for Atlanta United. So now that this one's in the barn, you mentioned next time up, it is Columbus, and you have got to get 3 points because Columbus is how do we phrase this about Columbus? Columbus in the East,
kind of a mess.
They're just not good right now. They're just really not.
Kind of a mess with the potential to occasionally jump up and bite you, but more often than not, like it's kind of like you ever saw the movie Arthur with Dudley Moore?
Oh, of course.
It's kind of like that. It's like kind of like a hot mess. Occasionally they'll do something right, and you're like, oh, look what they're capable of. Oh, nope, they set the living room on fire again.
So when you look at the numbers going into Sunday's play in Major League Soccer, Atlanta United right now 7th at 4-4-4, 16 points with the draw. They are a win behind FC Cincinnati, who's 6-1-6 at 19 points. Who'd have thunk it? They'd won 4 of their last 5, but that streak got stopped with a loss. Then it is 5 points between Atlanta United and the bottom of the table is Chicago, who's currently 2-5-5 at 11 points. So 10 points from top to bottom in the East, and it is going to be an absolute street fight for the remaining 2/3 of this season. Jarrett, as we head into the end of Sunday and get ready for Overreaction Monday, anything else on your mind?
No, not particularly. We'll have more thoughts on a Monday morning, but like, I mean, if someone had told you before the game, would you take a draw? You said yeah.
Yes.
Because it's a tough place to play. It's a tough team to play, and it's a tough matchup because they do things that punish you physically.
And that's another round of salty takeaways and bitter ends. Not so bitter after a 2-2 draw, except for probably the guy who was center ref in all of this. We'll get you ready for Overreaction Monday as well. Thanks to everybody who contributed on the Twitters and was a part of the conversation. Continue to do so on the Twitch pitch at 9:05 as we look back at Atlanta United and Nashville, the 2-2 draw that happened well after dark. That meant that only White Castle was open when you were trying to look for some late night food. So he's Jarrett. I'm Jon. Play it safe, everybody. Enjoy your Sunday and the rest of MLS as we get you ready here at SDH.